Tehran is seething with anger after China openly backed the United Arab Emirates in its decades-old territorial dispute with Iran over 3 strategic islands in the Persian Gulf, sharply escalating diplomatic frictions. The backlash from Iran erupted immediately after Chinese Foreign Minister Wang wrapped up his visit to Abu Dhabi on December 13, where his meetings produced a contentious joint political statement with the UAE. In that statement, China effectively backed the UAE's position over the 3 Persian Gulf islands, even though these territories have been under Iran's control and administration since they were seized in 1971. The Chinese foreign minister and his Emirati counterpart issued a joint statement that highlighted support for a peaceful solution to the island's dispute, turning what was a quiet stalemate into a fresh diplomatic storm. The joint statement said, "The Chinese side expressed their firm support for the UAE in safeguarding its sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. The Chinese side also expressed their support for the efforts of the UAE to reach a peaceful solution to the dispute over the 3 islands of Greater Tunb, Lesser Tunb, and Abu Musa through bilateral negotiations in accordance with the rules of international law, including the Charter of the UN." The UAE side reaffirmed their steadfast commitment to the One China principle, affirming that Taiwan is an inseparable part of Chinese territory. UAE also expressed its firm support for the efforts of China to achieve national unification, as well as its rejection of interference by external forces in China's internal affairs. The joint communiqué carefully avoided mentioning Iran by name, even as it explicitly referenced a sovereignty dispute over the 3 strategic islands at the mouth of the Persian Gulf. This new China-UAE statement reopened old wounds in Tehran and triggered an intense backlash from hardline Iranian media, which framed Beijing's stance as a serious affront to Iran's territorial claims. Iran's foreign ministry blasted what it called the UAE's misuse of every high-level diplomatic visit to revive its claims on the islands, accusing Abu Dhabi of systematically politicizing foreign trips. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Barkai insisted that any claim challenging Iran's control over Abu Musa, Greater Tunb, and Lesser Tunb amounts to a violation of Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Official Iranian rhetoric kept direct criticism of China relatively muted, but Tehran allowed hardline outlets and commentators to attack Beijing's position far more aggressively in public. The hardline daily Kayhan argued that by backing the UAE's stance, China had implicitly accepted that its own claim over Taiwan was negotiable and could be subject to talks, exposing what it called a dangerous inconsistency. Iranian daily Kayhan newspaper, close to Khamenei regime, stated, "China's support for UAE's claim over the islands means it has implicitly accepted that its own claim over Taiwan is disputable and should be resolved through negotiations." At the political level, Iranian MP Ahmed Naderi accused Beijing of adopting blatant double standards, saying China could not insist on its One China doctrine while questioning Iran's territorial integrity elsewhere. The latest row has revived a sovereignty dispute that has for decades strained ties between Iran and Gulf Arab neighbors, regularly resurfacing as a flashpoint in regional diplomacy. The islands sit near the vital Strait of Hormuz, a choke point through which roughly 1/5 of global seaborne oil supplies transit, giving the territory outsized strategic and economic importance. Iran seized Abu Musa, Greater Tunb, and Lesser Tunb on November 30, 1971, just as Britain was withdrawing from the Gulf and on the eve of the creation of the United Arab Emirates. Tehran justifies its claim by citing historical records stretching back to the Persian Empire, arguing that the islands have long been administered as part of Iranian domains. Declassified British files indicate that London had agreed to transfer sovereignty over Greater and Lesser Tunb to Iran as it prepared to end its protectorate era in the Gulf. Those same records suggest the UK helped broker an arrangement for joint administration of Abu Musa between Iran and the Emirate of Sharjah, later folded into the UAE, though this understanding later broke down. Tensions over the islands flared again in the early 1990s when Iran expanded its military footprint and infrastructure on Abu Musa, alarming Gulf Arab states and hardening positions on both sides. Gulf Arab governments, led by the UAE, have repeatedly urged Iran to accept international arbitration or referral to the International Court of Justice to settle the sovereignty question. Iran has consistently rejected the jurisdiction of the ICJ over the case, insisting that the 3 islands are an inseparable part of Iranian territory and therefore not open to international adjudication. Both China and Russia have in recent years echoed Gulf Arab calls urging Iran to resolve the dispute peacefully, putting additional external pressure on Tehran over an issue it views as non-negotiable.
25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.